San Antonio restaurants flunked recent health inspections. One even temporarily shut down.
The average American visits a Mexican fast food chain 14 times per year. That's more than once a month of crunchy tacos, loaded nachos, and that satisfying crunch of fresh lettuce hitting seasoned beef. For millions of people, Del Taco represents affordable Mexican-American comfort food, a place where you can get a decent meal for under $10 and actually feel full when you leave. But here's something most Del Taco customers don't realize. What you think you're eating and what's actually on your plate are two completely different things. Behind those colorful menu boards and that fresh Mexican grill promise lies a fast food operation that cuts more corners than a geometry textbook. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why that matters more than you think. Because what I discovered about Del Taco's ingredients, preparation methods, and behind-the-scenes practices might just change how you think about that next late-night taco run. We're not talking about minor quality issues here. We're talking about systematic shortcuts that affect everything from freshness to food safety to what you're actually paying for. I spent 2 weeks researching Del Taco's operations, talking to former employees, reviewing health inspection reports, and analyzing their ingredient lists. What I found was a pattern of practices that prioritize speed and cost-cutting over the quality and freshness they advertise. And the most disturbing part? Most customers have no idea it's happening. The fresh meat deception. Let's start with what should be the star of any taco: the meat. Del Taco markets itself heavily on having fresh ingredients, particularly their seasoned beef. Walk into any location and you'll see signs promising freshly prepared food. But here's what former employees revealed about that beef. A former Del Taco cook from Arizona posted on a restaurant worker forum. The beef comes in these huge plastic bags, already cooked and seasoned. We just heat it up in these warming trays. Sometimes that same batch of beef sits there for hours, getting reheated over and over. The seasoned beef arrives at Del Taco locations pre-cooked and vacuum sealed. It's not ground fresh in-store. It's not seasoned fresh daily. It's industrial food service beef that gets reheated in steam tables, sometimes for entire shifts. One former manager from California described the process as more like a cafeteria than a restaurant kitchen. Health inspection reports from multiple Del Taco locations have cited improper holding temperatures for meat products. In 2022, a location in Nevada was flagged for keeping seasoned beef at 135 degrees Fahrenheit, just below the safe holding temperature of 140 degrees Fahrenheit. That 5-degree difference creates what food safety experts call the danger zone, where bacteria multiply rapidly. Ever notice how Del Taco's beef has that slightly mushy, uniform texture? That's because it's been cooked, cooled, shipped, and reheated. Real, freshly ground beef has irregular texture, varying moisture levels, and inconsistent seasoning distribution. Del Taco's beef looks and feels the same in every bite because it's been processed to achieve that uniformity. You're paying for fresh, but getting reheated. That $1.29 taco isn't cheap because Del Taco is generous. It's cheap because the primary ingredient costs them pennies per serving and has been sitting in a warming tray since the morning shift started. The chicken that isn't really grilled. Del Taco's grilled chicken is another marketing success story that doesn't match reality. The menu boards show beautiful images of flame-grilled chicken strips with perfect grill marks. The reality is quite different. Multiple former employees have confirmed that Del Taco's grilled chicken arrives pre-cooked and frozen. One worker from Texas explained, "We'd get these boxes of chicken strips that already had the grill marks on them. We just threw them in the steamer to heat them up. No grill involved. Those perfect crosshatch grill marks? They're applied during the industrial cooking process before the chicken is frozen and shipped. It's food theater, designed to look like it was just pulled off a grill when it was actually made weeks ago in a processing facility." Like many fast food chains, Del Taco's chicken is injected with a sodium solution to increase weight and improve texture. This process, called plumping, can increase the sodium content by up to 400%. That's why a single Del Taco chicken taco contains nearly 500 milligrams of sodium, almost a quarter of your daily recommended intake. A 2023 health inspection at a Del Taco in Colorado found chicken being held at improper temperatures, with some pieces showing signs of freezer burn even after being heated. The inspector noted that staff were unable to provide documentation showing when the chicken had been thawed or how long it had been in the warming equipment. Food critics who've done blind taste tests consistently describe Del Taco's chicken as rubbery, oversalted, and lacking in flavor. That's the signature of chicken that's been frozen, thawed, and reheated rather than freshly grilled. The bean situation. Del Taco's refried beans might be the most deceptive item on their menu. They're marketed as a healthier, protein-rich option. But the reality of how they're prepared and what's actually in them tells a different story. Former employees across multiple states have described the same process. Del Taco's refried beans start as a powder mix. One worker from Oregon said, "We'd dump this beige powder into hot water, stir it up, and that became the refried beans. It looked like cement mix before we added the water." Del Taco's refried beans contain over 15 ingredients, including multiple preservatives, anti-caking agents, and flavor enhancers. Compare that to homemade refried beans, which typically contain beans, oil, salt, and maybe some spices. You're not eating beans. You're eating a bean-flavored food product. Real refried beans have varying texture. Some beans are more mashed than others, creating a rustic, homemade feel. Del Taco's beans have the same smooth, paste-like consistency every time because they're reconstituted from powder. It's engineered uniformity, not natural food preparation. While beans are naturally high in fiber and protein, Del Taco's version is loaded with sodium and preservatives that diminish the nutritional benefits. A single serving contains over 400 milligrams of sodium and multiple chemical additives that aren't found in actual beans. Online reviews frequently mention Del Taco's beans tasting artificial, too salty, or like paste. One customer posted, "These don't taste like any refried beans I've ever had. They taste like someone described beans to a robot, and the robot tried to recreate them." The produce problem. Fresh lettuce, tomatoes, and onions should be the easiest part of any taco operation. But even here, Del Taco has found ways to cut corners that affect both quality and safety. Del Taco's vegetables arrive pre-cut and packaged, often days before they're used. A former prep worker from Nevada explained, "The lettuce came in these big plastic bags, already shredded. Sometimes you could see brown edges or slimy spots, but we were told to just pick out the obviously bad pieces and use the rest." Health inspections have repeatedly found issues with Del Taco's produce handling. A 2022 inspection in California noted that pre-cut vegetables were being stored above the recommended temperature and that some produce showed signs of deterioration. Another inspection found that produce bins weren't being cleaned between batches. That crisp lettuce crunch you associate with a fresh taco? It's often achieved through chemical treatments that keep pre-cut lettuce looking fresh longer than it naturally would. The lettuce may look green and crisp, but it could be days old and treated with preservatives to maintain appearance. Multiple locations have been cited for storing raw meat above produce, allowing juices to drip onto vegetables. One particularly disturbing report from Arizona described finding meat juice pooled in the bottom of a lettuce storage container. Pre-cut produce has a much higher risk of bacterial contamination than whole vegetables cut fresh. The more a vegetable is handled, processed, and stored, the greater the opportunity for harmful bacteria to multiply. You're trading convenience for increased food safety risk. The cheese and dairy deception. Del Taco's cheese might look melted and delicious, but the reality of what you're eating is far from traditional dairy. Del Taco doesn't use real cheese. They use cheese product, which is a processed food that contains some cheese but is primarily made of oils, emulsifiers, and preservatives. One former employee described it as cheese-flavored plastic that melts. The cheese arrives in large blocks and is melted in industrial warming equipment. But because it's processed cheese product, it doesn't melt like real cheese. Instead, it becomes a uniform, glossy substance that maintains the same texture, whether it's hot or cold. Real cheddar cheese has one ingredient: milk. Del Taco's cheese product contains over 20 ingredients, including multiple preservatives, artificial colors, and emulsifiers. You're not eating cheese. You're eating a cheese-flavored industrial product. The sour cream follows a similar pattern. It's not cultured dairy cream. It's a sour cream-flavored product with stabilizers and preservatives that allow it to sit out for hours without spoiling. Multiple health inspections have noted sour cream being held at improper temperatures without any apparent quality degradation, which is impossible with real dairy products. Processed cheese products are significantly higher in sodium and lower in protein and calcium than real cheese. You're paying for what you think is a protein-rich dairy product, but getting a sodium-heavy processed food with minimal nutritional value. The cleanliness and safety issues. Behind the colorful menu boards and friendly service, Del Taco locations have struggled with basic cleanliness and food safety standards. A review of health inspection reports from Del Taco locations across 5 states revealed recurring issues: improper food storage temperatures, inadequate hand-washing facilities, and equipment that wasn't being cleaned according to food safety standards. Multiple locations have been cited for dirty ice machines. One inspection report from Texas noted black slime buildup in the ice machine that supplies drinks. Another location in California was found to have ice machines that hadn't been cleaned in over a month. Former employees have described equipment that breaks down frequently and isn't always repaired promptly. One worker said, "The meat warming trays would break, and instead of fixing them, they'd just move the food to whatever equipment was working." Sometimes that meant food sitting at the wrong temperature for hours. High turnover rates mean many Del Taco employees receive minimal food safety training. One former manager revealed, new hires would get maybe 2 hours of training before they were expected to handle food. Most of them had never worked in food service before. Online reviews and complaint sites contain numerous reports of customers getting sick after eating at Del Taco. While individual cases are hard to verify, the pattern of complaints about stomach issues, nausea, and food poisoning is concerning. The bigger picture: what we're seeing at Del Taco isn't unique to them. It's representative of how the fast food industry has evolved to prioritize efficiency and profit margins over food quality and safety. But Del Taco's marketing as a fresh Mexican grill makes these practices particularly deceptive. That $1.29 taco is cheap for a reason. When you break down the actual cost of the ingredients, reheated pre-cooked beef, reconstituted beans, processed cheese product, and days-old pre-cut vegetables, Del Taco is probably making a significant profit on each item while delivering minimal nutritional value. Regular consumption of highly processed foods with excessive sodium, preservatives, and artificial additives has been linked to numerous health issues including high blood pressure, digestive problems, and increased risk of chronic diseases. You're not just buying a quick meal. You're making a long-term investment in your health, for better or worse. Real Mexican food, even fast casual Mexican food, doesn't have to be this processed. Chains like Chipotle, despite their own issues, at least prepare ingredients in-store and use recognizable food items. Local Mexican restaurants typically use fresh ingredients, real cheese, and meat that's actually seasoned and cooked on site. What you can do: read the ingredients. Del Taco is required to provide ingredient lists for their menu items. Take a look at what's actually in that taco. If you can't pronounce half the ingredients, that should tell you something. Ask questions. When you're at Del Taco, ask when the meat was cooked, how long it's been sitting out, or whether the chicken is actually grilled fresh. The answers might surprise you. Vote with your wallet. Every time you choose Del Taco, you're supporting these practices. If enough customers demand better quality and transparency, companies will respond. But as long as people keep buying without questioning, there's no incentive to change. Try alternatives. Local Mexican restaurants, food trucks, or even making tacos at home will give you a completely different experience. Real seasoned ground beef, fresh vegetables, and actual cheese taste nothing like what you get at Del Taco. Pay attention to your body. Notice how you feel after eating at Del Taco versus after eating fresh, minimally processed food. Your body will tell you the difference even if your taste buds have gotten used to the artificial flavors. Del Taco wants you to believe you're getting fresh, quality Mexican food at an unbeatable price. But the reality is that you're getting highly processed, reheated, and artificially flavored food products that bear little resemblance to actual Mexican cuisine. The saddest part isn't just that the food is processed, it's that it doesn't have to be this way. Making real tacos with fresh ingredients isn't complicated or expensive, but it does require a commitment to quality over profit margins, and that's a commitment Del Taco clearly hasn't made. The next time you're craving Mexican food, ask yourself, do you want a taco or do you want a taco-shaped collection of processed food products? Because at Del Taco, you're definitely getting the latter. Your taste buds deserve better. Your health deserves better. And your hard-earned money definitely deserves better than reheated beef, reconstituted beans, and cheese-flavored plastic wrapped in a tortilla. Speaking of better alternatives, if this video opened your eyes to what's really in fast food, you need to watch this next video where I break down the shocking truth about what's actually in Taco Bell's meat. Trust me, after seeing what goes into their seasoned beef, you'll never look at a crunchy taco supreme the same way again.